Thank you to everybody who's joined us today. Before we get started, we just want to always start with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the Alberta Transplant Institute is hosted by the University of Alberta, which is located on Treaty 6 territory and respects the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and all First Peoples of Canada, whose presence continues to enrich our vibrant community. Please feel free to put your own land acknowledgement and location into the chat. Special thanks to Paladin for their generous support of our ATI seminar series. They have sponsored us for many years. One other event to take note of coming up on December 2nd, you can join virtually or in person in Calgary, but we will be hosting a Gardner Symposium on pediatric transplantation. The registration link is in the chat, and if you have any questions about it, please let us know. We're very excited to be hosting out of Calgary this year and in conjunction with the CDTRP annual scientific meeting. Before we get started, I'm going to just introduce all four of our speakers at once, and then we're going to start with the Kidney Foundation Kidney Camp group, and then move on to the Heart Camp pediatric team from the Stollery as well. Our first speaker is Daisy Escoto, who is a registered social worker who has a passion for human rights and advocating for marginalized populations. She's worked extensively with at-risk youth and families. She's volunteered with various organizations since her teens, finding joy in uplifting individuals, and is dedicated to making a positive impact in the lives of others. Daisy joined the Kidney Foundation Northern Alberta and Territories branch, sorry, I know Flavia's on the line, as kidney care manager. Kidney disease was not new to Daisy, as her brother, a good friend of mine, Manuel, is a kidney transplant recipient, and her mother is the living kidney donor to him. She strives to create awareness about how important our kidneys are and collaborates with many professionals so that individuals directly impacted with kidney disease are strongly supported in their health journey. Participating from the Kidney Camp is Tashina Redcalf. She comes to us from the Sunchild First Nation here in Treaty 6 territory. She's proud mom to Tashon Redcalf, who is a Kidney Camp participant and a young person living with kidney disease. So excited to hear her perspective. Julie, it's good to see we got your video going. That's fantastic. Julie Melton is here in Edmonton and has worked at the Stollery Children's Hospital Pediatric Heart Transplant team with Dr. Simon Urschel since 2014. Following in her parents' footsteps, she's developed a strong passion for community involvement and volunteer work. When asked to join the Stollery Transplant Camp Planning Committee, she welcomed that challenge with open arms. I got to see that firsthand, forming many bonds with the families that she's met. Watching the transplant patients grow bigger and stronger every year and seeing the value that every individual gains, including volunteers, parents, and siblings, after attending the camp has only strengthened her passion and desire to keep the heart transplant family camp going. And finally, Crystal Valente is a wellness coordinator and client manager for a health benefits company and holds a diploma in marketing and a degree in human resources. More importantly for today's topic, she's a mom of 3 wonderful boys, and her eldest son is now 12 and the recipient of a heart transplant in May of 2022. He was one, if not the very first transplant during COVID at the Stollery, and Crystal lives in Calgary with her boys and loves hiking, biking, skiing together, and they have been participants of the Heart Camp for some time, so she will have a fantastic perspective. So the overall title is called Pediatric Heart and Kidney Camps, Education, Connections, and Embracing Childhood Joy. So I will hand it over to you, Daisy. Thank you so much for all of you. I wore my heart transplant camp shirt just for this occasion. I feel like as a transplant recipient of a kidney, I always have mixed feelings with camp I'm part of. I belong everywhere. Go ahead, Daisy.
Perfect. Well, as Sean mentioned, my name is Daisy Escoto. I'm the Kidney Care Manager with the Kidney Foundation's Northern Alberta and the Territories branch. I'm here to chat about our Kidney Camp for Kids today. But before I begin, I would like to acknowledge that we serve Northern Alberta and the Territories, lands that are known as part of Treaty 6, 7, and 8. We live, work, and serve on traditional grounds, homes, and traveling routes for many Indigenous peoples. We recognize and respect the sovereignty, lands, histories, languages, knowledge systems, and cultures of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit nations. So, as mentioned, I do work with the Kidney Foundation, and the Kidney Foundation of Canada is a national charity. We are guided by 3 fundamental principles: innovation, leadership, and collaboration. And I'm actually very proud to say that we are celebrating our 60th anniversary this year. So, our vision is we want excellent kidney health, optimal quality of life for those affected by kidney disease, and a cure. Our mission is we are committed to eliminating the burden of kidney disease. Um, Eliminating the burden of kidney disease through funding and stimulating innovative research for better prevention, treatments, and a cure, providing education and a support to prevent kidney disease in those at risk and empower those with kidney disease to optimize their health status, advocating for improved access to high quality health care, and increasing public awareness and commitment to advancing kidney health and organ and tissue donation. So, kidney camp, we know that no one is immune to kidney disease, not even babies, not children, or teens. Kidney camp for kids is an opportunity for campers to know that they are not alone in their health journey, and most importantly, for them to have the opportunity to connect with peers who understand a bit about their kidney journey. These kids will be on their lifelong journey dealing with kidney disease, and so we want them and their families to know that they are fully supported. For over 15 years, our Kidney Foundation, Northern Alberta and the Territories branch, has been supporting kidney kids so that they can go to Camp Week. They're able to engage in fun activities such as archery, swimming, talent shows, canoeing, nature hikes, arts and crafts, and so much more. They're able to connect with other kids, again, that understand a little bit about their health journey and also get pushed a little bit outside of their comfort zone as well. So, Kidney Camp provides youth living with kidney disease the opportunity to participate in life changing camp experiences. And we truly believe that kids should have the opportunity to simply be a kid. So, here you see the boys just smiling and posing for pictures and being silly together. So, we believe that the challenges that they face while living with kidney disease should not be a barrier for them to have fun and explore. Their medical conditions should not prevent them from building self-esteem and independence. They get to explore while they are in a supportive environment with their peers. They get to engage in activities that challenge their mind and their body. And also, they get to create lasting friendships and lifelong memories. We're able to help support with them building these connections with other youth from across Alberta. So I want to highlight that Kidney Camp is not just an experience for the kids, it's also a meaningful experience for the parents. They're able to get a bit of respite while their child attends camp while having the utmost confidence and peace of mind that their child is being well taken care of. So here I have a testimonial from a kidney camper parent, Joni. She let me know, thank you so much for doing this. My son is looking forward to camp so much. He's never got to experience anything like it. And as you could tell by his medical needs, it's not that easy to have a sleepover. So him getting to experience this is so exciting. So, what makes Kidney Camp for Kids extra special? Awesome nurses. Not all heroes wear capes. We hire the nurses that have experience in pediatrics and renal care, excuse me. These amazing nurses ensure that the kids' medical needs are met at camp. They travel on the bus with the kids. They're present the entire week away at camp. They administer medications and they consult with the pediatric nephrology team at the Stollery if there are concerns for a child's well being and health. They even go the extra mile by getting to know the kidney campers and participate in the activities with them. You see here some of the nurses are dressed up in costumes, they participate in the water fights, they have fun with the kids and strengthen those connections. There's supportive camp staff as well. So the camp staff are also there to build connections with the campers by making their week memorable. In addition to creating a fun and inclusive environment, the camp staff are trained to provide support during emergencies. This 2024 season, we partnered up with Easter Seals Camp Horizon, which is located in Bragg Creek. The Alberta Children's Hospital nurses and myself were able to meet with the camp leaders before camp took place and let them know everything that they needed to know in terms of important information that would help keep the kids safe at camp. So, an example is letting them know the transplant kids have to drink a lot of water versus any of the kids on dialysis have to be restricted when it comes to their fluid intake. While the kids were at camp, if there were medical concerns for a particular camper, the organizers would reach out to the guardians or myself so that we could all work together to ensure that the camper was well supported. With that being said, I do want to highlight that dialysis will not prevent a child from being able to attend kidney camp for kids. So here we have these two guys, two boys here. There is supportive access. So peritoneal dialysis and in-center dialysis. We do hire nurses that are trained to provide peritoneal dialysis on site at the camp. For children that require in-center hemodialysis, we do support with arrangements so that they can have their dialysis runs at Alberta Children's Hospital. Kidney Foundation arranges the transportation, and one of the kidney camp nurses attends dialysis with the child so that they are never alone. You're probably wondering, so what is the camp criteria for a child to attend camp? So they must be between the ages of 7 to 17 years old. They must have some form of kidney disease or another medical condition that impacts their kidney health. And they must receive medical clearance from their nephrologist or medical team that it is safe for the child to attend camp. Children of all abilities are able to attend as long as they are not at risk or putting others at risk and they have the proper supports in place. So, if a child requires a support worker or a behavioral assistant at camp, it is up to the parents or guardians to find someone to provide the support at camp. But Kidney Foundation NABT branch will cover the expenses for the support workers, such as their meals and transportation. And lastly, we ask that parents and guardians provide a thorough application form that outlines pertinent information. So, again, the camp staff knows how to best support the child at camp. So, what does the Kidney Foundation provide for Kidney Camp? Here we actually have a really beautiful drawing that some of the kids drew out at camp this year. So all camp expenses are fully covered by the Kidney Foundation, Northern Alberta and the Territories branch. We hire the nurses, we provide them with the proper camp training, we review the children's medical background together. We even step in to run the camp as the NABT staff did in 2021 and 2022 because we did not want to let the campers down. We cover transportation, we purchase renal friendly snacks for the bus ride, we get the medical supplies prepped to send over to camp, and we recruit volunteers if we need. So, as the Kidney Foundation, Northern Alberta and the Territories branch covers all expenses, we really rely on our fundraising efforts, such as our kidney walks and our kidney gala. Without these donations, we would not be able to plan and pay for the kidney camp for kids. So, thank you to everyone that has contributed to these fundraising efforts. And if you haven't attended our events in the past, we'd actually love to have you join us again in the future. So here you see a really awesome group holding up some bowls that they painted. So I'm going to just throw out there, why is kidney camp important? So in my role, I have gotten to know a lot of really resilient kids. A message that I often hear is, I didn't know there were other kids sick like me. Kidney camp allows kids to connect and know that they are not alone on their journey. And here I have an awesome testimonial that I will get to, but our team always wants to ensure that the kidney campers have a positive experience. So I reach out to the kids and their parents to hear firsthand how camp week went. I was informed by many of the parents this year that their kids really had to sit down and reflect on camp as it was so important for them to come up with a message to share with us, the Kidney Foundation staff. Most testimonials echoed the same message that camp was fun, but it was especially fun because the campers met other kids just like them. So here I have a testimonial from a camper and her mom. She writes, I love kidney camp so much. I made so many friends. The activities were so much fun, and you sleep in a bunk bed. That's so cool. The bathrooms were clean and the nurses were nice and kind. They helped me when I felt homesick. I'm really excited to go next year. So I'm excited that she wants to come and join us again next year. Her mom wrote to us, thank you for including us in this experience. Madison's self-confidence after coming home from camp is incredible. To see and spend time with kids who are just like her has been so amazing for her. And this really impacts us as we to hear that a child's self-confidence improves so much because of kidney camp is so important. And I just want to mention that we could not do this on our own, so thank you. Here, you'll see a lot of smiling faces. Thank you for taking the time to listen and learn about the Kidney Foundation and our Kidney Camp for Kids. Our NABT branch is committed to doing whatever we can to ensure Kidney Camp for Kids is available to kids and youth living with the challenges of chronic kidney disease. To see the campers simply be kids and see their faces light up with smiles when we welcome them back is so powerful. My final thought that I'd like to leave with you is that at the Kidney Foundation, we're behind you all the way. Thank you. And so here I have my contact information. I have highlighted the Kidney Foundation NABT branch experience. However, if you reside in another province and would like to get in touch, please reach out to me and I will get you connected to my colleagues from across Canada to chat about kidney camp in your area. And now I will hand it over to Tashina so that she can share a bit about her child's experience at camp. Thank you so much, everyone.
Hello, Dante Kiwal, Nia Tashina Redcalf, Ntsigasun, Bisim Oasis Igla Agamic First Nations Achinia, Opsis Bickle, Eneheoin. So I said, hello, all of you. My name is Tashina Redcalf. I'm from Sunshell First Nation and Montana First Nation. And I speak a little Cree. I wanted to thank Daisy and Dennis for doing the land acknowledgement as well. My daughter's Tashina Redcalf, and she's attended kidney camp 4 times. I think she went when she was 8 years old back in 2018. And then she went again in 2019. And she had fun because those camps were during her birthdays. So she had to celebrate her birthday at camp. But what she said about those 2 years was she learned that there's other kids that have similar issues like her with her kidneys and had to do the same, I guess, routines with her. They're similar. And last year in 2023, she went to kidney camp when they had it at West Edmonton Mall. And she said it was the funnest because it was at Fantasyland and her family got to come. And then she went again this year. They went to Camp Horizon. She was a little bit homesick this year, but she toughed it out and she stayed. She did express when she got back that it was fun and she can't wait to go next year as well. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Tashina. We'll have a bit of a discussion afterwards, and hopefully everybody can stay for some questions and answers. But we'll switch over to the Heart Camp now, and Julie Melton and Crystal Valente, who are connected to the Stollery Heart Transplant Camp. Go ahead, Julie. Let's see if your slides work.
Yeah, we'll see. Thank you, Sean. Between 10 and 15 children receive a heart transplantation in Edmonton each year, coming from all over Western and Northern Canada, spread over an area of about half of the USA, leaving limited possibilities for interactions between affected families. These families have faced very difficult times with their children, facing prolonged hospital stays, often on mechanical, cardiac, and respiratory support systems, while being threatened by imminent death. Accordingly, they may feel isolated and traumatized and greatly benefit from peer support, specifically teaching and discussion forums that we provide at camp. With our medical teams and patients, we do our best to make sure that the pediatrics transition well into adulthood. In 2010, we developed and realized that the idea of offering a camp for the transplanted children, their parents and siblings, and have since offered this every year. Following 2 years of virtual transplant camp, thanks to COVID, we were able to offer in-person camps again in 2022 and just finished camp last weekend. for 2024, which was muchly appreciated by all of our families, I think. I do have a presentation that I'm going to try and show. Let me know if you can see it. Can you see this one? Or is it small?
Yeah, we can see it. It's showing up inside of a browser, but it will work.
Yeah, might have to. So Simon, Dr. Urschel, put this together, which is just an oasis on a difficult journey, which is our heart transplants kids. So why would a child need a heart transplantation? A few reasons: congenital heart disease, cardiomyopathy, myocarditis. Needing a transplant obviously is something that would make a child feel very lonely. At the time of our first camp in 2011, we invited or had 101 families that were or could be recognized to come to camp, which spread out over 4,531,711 square kilometers. So British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. And now we also do Nunavut, the territories, and the Yukon. So going through a child's heart transplant has major impacts on the whole family. Near-death experiences with the child, invasive therapies, long and risky wait times, complications, stroke, kidney failure, extensive surgeries and procedures, lifelong medications after transplantation, post-transplant complications, and most important, family PTSD. A therapeutic camp is where we come in. So camp experiences positively affect the quality of life, the child's self-esteem, coping with anxiety and chronic illnesses, enables siblings to cope better with chronic diseases in the family, provides a pressure-free environment for education, and we bring families facing similar challenges together. So here's our first camp up to 2 years ago. What we offer is informal and formal peer support. We have specific education groups. Sean, you are a part of our adult transplant camp. You did your lecture for our adults and our older transplant children. We have a smaller group, 5 to 12, and then 13 and up. Our 13-year-olds this year built terrariums with succulents, and they are supposed to treat the succulent like their heart and care for it as they would their own heart as they grow. So what we offer is the opportunity to make new friends and see old friends, expound boundaries, and dare help these children get their back to normal. So our rough schedule, we start on a Friday and we go straight through till Sunday, just after lunch. With transplant camp in the morning, we usually have 3 different speakers, everything from a psychiatrist, psychologists. This year we had an education teacher, Sean again, and a parent and a patient perspective of their experiences. These are just some pictures of different interactions this year. The children, as a thank you to their heart donor, built birdhouses, and for each donor, and then they did a memorial walk to thank our donors, and hung the birdhouses up out our camp where we are at Camp Evergreen. So our program is strictly run on volunteers. All our activities are organized, lots of education, tons and tons of fundraising so that we can continue to offer this opportunity to our families. Camp is offered to our families at a very nominal fee of $25 a person. And for approximately 150 people, which we have come out, is about a $40,000 bill for the weekend. We offer travel support for 1 to 2 families out of province, as well as any adult mentors that we can bring in. And the evidence of the impact that we have, Crystal will tell you her story. But it has been proven that camp and having the interactions with other transplant patients strengthens and gives the kids the confidence that they have lacked or do lack during the year when they're not with their transplant friends. Some of our main supporters have been not-for-profit organizations, the Kinsmen, Big Gifts for Little Lives, many smaller donations. But of course, our main need is our substantial commitments and our continuous volunteer commitments. Our volunteers are medical staff. There are our nurses, but our nurses, they bring out their families. We bring out our families. So the medical aspect is out there. Dr. Simon Urschel is out there every year. And it's a rewarding, amazing experience. And I'll let Crystal tell you about her aspect of it from a parent side.
To follow up, when I think I hear a crack in your voice as you trail off, it's hard to follow up on a crack in a voice on something so special like this. Hi everyone, thank you so much for being a part of this transplant community, pushing the boundaries, all of the work around education. A special thank you to Julie Melton and her team for making this such a passion project. And letting our kids have that experience of being included and not excluded because of their condition. So my son, Luca, when he was 7 years old, started to experience shortness of breath and an inability to exercise, such as other kids do, getting tired when he walked to the end of our cul-de-sac. And we had thought at the time it was a asthmatic or asthma, and he'd received a few puffers at that time. His first season of hockey, and about 2 months in, he sat down on the couch and said, "Mom, I don't feel well," and proceeded to vomit probably about 1 liter of blood, to which at that moment we knew something was transpiring beyond asthma. And Luca was brought into the Peter Lougheed and then into the Children's Hospital, where we found out our son, in fact, needed a heart, which was a big shock. There wasn't much of a lead up to that. He was suffering from restrictive cardiomyopathy, put on a wait list, which was very scary. We were supported by such a great team at the Stollery, as well as ACH, and Luca received his heart in May 2020. And we were told at that time, a very, very scary time for the world. We were also told that he was one of the first, if not the first at that time. So there was a very scary duality for our family. The world was crumbling and our internal world was crumbling at that time. Shortly after Luca received his heart, we received an email for a virtual transplant camp through the Stollery. And this was truly a light in a tunnel for us, because there was something positive coming out of both COVID and coming out of just having had a heart transplant, where Luca was able to be included. Now, his brothers wanted to be a part of the virtual camp, but they hadn't had a heart transplant. It was something that everybody wanted to be a part of, but Luca was the participant, being at that he received the heart transplant. So right away, Luca had felt included into a community of support based around heart camp, and the organization of it and the support of it. He got to see the artwork and the videos and the photos of kids just like him that he'd never seen before. Given that, you go into a children's hospital and you come out or you stay in and in your room, and sometimes you get the support of a child life. But this was a community across provinces. And a lot of the narrative that we've built around Luca is everybody is going to have something. Your car is just a body. We're first a soul, and our body comes second, whether it be diabetes or epilepsy. You're just treating what you have. And really, heart transplant camp, starting in 2022, we've been every year since, has normalized that this is just a body and everybody's got something, right? Maybe grandpa has diabetes. There's a kid at school that has cancer, right? So, or even if it's anxiety. So Luca kind of can see now by going through transplant camp that, hey, everybody has something, and there's different and varying levels of the severity, to Julie's point, of some of the conditions that kids struggle with. Luca made a friend this past camp who lives in Manitoba, and she struggles with anxiety as well. But we've always encouraged Luca to not to hide what he has, but rather to talk about it, because if we're hiding it, then there's shame behind it, right? And we don't want this. And this little girl talked about even her anxiety, and they joked about it. And that's the beauty of camp, is what it brings out in you as a human for a lifelong journey of having this condition, whether it be anxiety, a heart transplant. We're just trying to normalize that. And to Julie's point, the impact of camp is really internal, lifelong self-esteem, normalization of these things, whether it be a kidney transplant or a heart transplant. And that's the beauty of it. And at the end of camp this year, Luca and this little girl wrote a 12-year-old love letter to each other, absolutely bawled their faces off, loved the fact that one took meds and the other took meds, and okay, we're going to meet up at the tree after our meds, completely normalizing all of it, right? And keeping it light and bright. And that's really what heart transplant camp does. They do such a fantastic job for the education of parents. I thought, Sean, you were one of the best speakers that we'd had there, in terms of us seeing what our child is going to look like in 20 years or 30 years, saying, hey, I'm okay. Because we all, 50 years, well, you look great. we all struggle with something, right? So maybe mom has anxiety. And so it's beautiful to just put it out on a stage and make a bouquet out of all of it. Because especially as Luca goes into junior high, there's going to be a lot of folks calling out different things that are weird. We're all weird, right? Like, who is normal? What does normal mean? Let's normalize that everybody's going to have something, and calling it out, and building such a beautiful resource around such a scary condition, whether it be, kidney transplant or heart transplant, is just a beautiful thing for Luca to see that there's a community of people supporting you, young and old, across all provinces. And so we look forward to transplant camp every year. Luca's siblings, Marco and Ethan, I saw them in some of the pictures. They think it's great to talk to other siblings about, about medication. What time does your bro take medication, right? Oh, mine does. Do you want to go play soccer? It's all good, right? So that's the impact that transplant camp has had on our family, the depth of it, the beauty of it, the value of it. We can't put a number on. And we can't say enough about Julie's work and Dr. Ursul's work and the volunteers' work. We were blown away the first time that we went to the actual camp, and we look forward to it every year.
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, all four of you. That is absolutely moving stories, moving experiences. I love the pictures. I threw up the one picture, Crystal, while you were talking. I hope that was okay. It was one of Simon's pictures from the weekend last week. But yeah, this is personally for me, this was a really important one. Having been a kidney kid in the 70s and 80s, there weren't camps. I was 14 before I ever met anyone that had a kidney issue. And we clung to each other because we were pen pals for 2 years after that, because there was nobody else. There was no Zoom or anything like that. And I grew up in Red Deer, so the chances of finding someone else who had a ureterostomy and peed into a bag off their side or those kinds of things. Meeting someone like that was slim to zero, and to finally meet that one, even just one person, but to see these campers and all that they are accomplishing. I love that you both have so many commonalities between the two camps, the pushing your boundaries a little bit, making sure that friendships are being formed, and you both have educational components in there and are supported by the nursing medical staff throughout the entire thing. I guess a first question that I might have, Julie, you mentioned it, in terms of, we know it has impact. Have either of the camp organizers published, either in academic journals or just in normal advocacy, out to the newspapers and kind of the traditional media channels, just to get the word out of all the amazing things that you're doing, you've learned through this experience, so that liver and lung and pancreas and other groups can benefit and learn from what you've built here. It really is quite remarkable.
I know that Simon did a paper back in 2016 that was published with a couple of other medical students that attended a camp with him, and it was based on a family's perspective of what they received from camp. Last year, when we were in a hard crunch for fundraising, we did do a couple TV clips. We were on Global and stuff like that, where we talked about transplant camp, the importance of camp, why we do camp. So we're trying. We would like to get another article out there, a little bit more updated. So that's in our works.
Fantastic. I know you guys are doing fundraising as well, but what are the various ways that you help to get the word out, not just for prospective campers, but just so the general community knows what you're doing?
So we do a lot of education seminars. So one of the big goals that I've taken on is getting out into the elementary schools, the junior high, the high schools, letting individuals or students know that this is available. But I think that there are quite a few colleagues on here. I think that hearing what Julie has mentioned that has happened for the heart camp is something to consider for the future. We definitely want to get more of this information out, and we've had conversations of how this could expand in the future. But I think social media, just the media in general, is a very powerful outlet, and we try to get the word out there, but we also rely a lot on the community to help us spread the news as well. So I think, yeah, our goal will be to try to get more info out there, try to share it with everyone that's connected to us, but also get it to individuals that maybe are not directly connected to kidney and transplant, and seeing how they could also be big advocates and proponents in getting the info out.
Amazing. That's great. Dr. Nagle, I see your hand.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. Thank you to all of you for sharing these very powerful stories. As in me being a pathologist and researcher, right, I'm probably not the right person or experience in interacting with the patients or pediatric patients. But what I'm wondering, are these kids curious about to learn about the science or the mechanisms of transplantation and the diseases causing or leading to transplantation, like junior science competitions, or is this rather increasing anxiety and scaring them in this context?
Are you offering to come to transplant camp? That would be great.
I have been there once. Years ago, Simon invited me, and I explained what happens when a biopsy is taken afterwards and what we do with it in pathology. Boring was mostly the expression on the faces, but maybe it was just how I presented it. So that's where my question is coming from. Is there something which with ATI and the scientists and clinician scientists and ATI could do to, because patient engagement, we see it a lot with adults that they want to understand their diseases. We have adult organ recipients who want to see their explanted organ in pathology. Right? They wanted to know why they had to get rid of it and what the disease causes in your organ. And as Crystal, you mentioned, we all have the same body and kind of things happen in that body, and pathology or science is about understanding that. So I'm wondering whether do you see an age limit of bringing this closer to your patient groups?
My name is Michelle. I'm one of the pediatric heart transplant coordinators, and I've attended most of the camps from the very first one. And I would say it's actually pretty amazing, probably from age about 6 or 7 onwards, how much the kids know about their history. They know a lot of specifics about what surgeries they've had, and they're definitely interested in learning more. Some of them are very articulate about what their problem was, what their concerns are kind of going forward, what they need to kind of be thinking about. And, you know, there's going to be some that aren't interested in that kind of stuff, but there's definitely a good group that would be.
I know we also twice have dissected pig hearts, where specifically the heart that was being dissected was done in a way to understand where that specific child's heart failed.
Wow.
And that was pretty, they were pretty gored out, interested, fascinated by that.
And that was some of the older kids. I see Crystal looking. I think that was one of the teenage groups that did that, not the younger age group. But yeah, definitely that went over really well. We've tried to kind of do some different science things, but you know, we're not always as the transplant staff, we're not always the experts at trying to kind of do some of that stuff as well. So I think that would be something that would be really interesting.
Yep.
We definitely have had patients go see their hearts before, including like, you know, the parents maybe were the ones that requested it, but we've had patients that were under 18 go as well. And then of course, when COVID hit, that wasn't possible. So we now routinely give, you know, photos of the heart to the families, and a lot of the younger patients do want to see them. But we have, you know, some of our families have pictures of their child holding their old heart and things like that. It's very, very moving for sure.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and
there's different ways of presenting science now. Look, the internet is full of how a T cell engages with an antigen and causes rejection, right? As cartoons and at every age group targeted. So I'm wondering whether there is an enhancement or an added value to these very well established and effective camps in that environment where the kids feel safe amongst peers to introduce them. Because so where I'm coming from also is when they go into adolescence, we have the compliance problems. But I think when you understand what it means not being compliant and what it does to your body again, we might have a chance, the more educated they are, to mitigate that risk, at least in some. That's a hypothesis. I don't know whether that's possible, but I'm just wondering.
Well, and I think that's
go ahead, Karen.
I think that's true, because if somebody misses one of their doses and nothing bad happens, they have a tendency to not take it seriously. You know, like they nag me all the time, but I missed it once and, you know, here I am. And that might help in terms of not only not missing, but in terms of staying on a fairly regular schedule, you know, not taking it at 8 in the morning and then at noon. But anyways, yeah, I think science has a better way of getting that across rather than what we typically do, which is repeatedly nagging them.
So I think that's a bit of an offer. If we can help in connecting as you're thinking of your speakers for next year, or how you want to do training sessions and things, I mean, we can help connect your camp organizers with clinician scientists or even basic scientists, as Dr. Mingle said. I think that'd be fascinating, especially for maybe some of the older kids, or you know, finding different ways to present, you know, hard science to different age groups. That alone is an entire area of study. Sorry, go ahead, Flavia.
No, this is so great. I love how, again, partnerships, just we can't be the knowers of everything, and we use everyone to put it in and make it even better. And when we actually, one of the things that we're thinking of as a branch is doing one with going to actual Easter seals. There would be less of an opportunity because it is so very much like you're tenting, you're, you know, in a bunk bed, that sort of thing. But when we bring them in-house and we do them more local, to have that component, we do hear from parents that say it's nice for them to or my child isn't ready actually to speak about their journey, and we never, push because we have sharing circles and that sort of thing. But sometimes when you're able to bring it out in a different way, interactive, and have that, I think that only helps enhance. But I'm also stepping just beyond kidney camp for right now, because we go into schools, and I can definitely, you've always heard of the Orgamites. I'm assuming everyone has. We embed some of those videos and information, but how cool would it be to potentially have something that ATI already has, or we can bring it in because we're doing them. We're going in, we're presenting this information, and just to add another level of connection, and to make it that for everyone, that it's okay to talk about it, and that this is happening. No one's being singled out in any way. I mean, that's the whole purpose of this. We heard it from all sides. Kids just want to be kids. They're doing the best. Yes, they're dealing with some health things, but it's not about that. To normalize it, to get those discussions going. So again, I'm like, yes, do everything. Yes, what else can we always do to improve? So thank you.
I think the other comment, thank you, Claudia, that was fantastic, and I love the idea of the Orgamites. I now have the Boulets in my head, because we all know Bernie Boulet was one of the people who helped bring Orgamites into Canada in the first place, and is an elementary school teacher. The other common theme I heard was around fundraising. Are there things that the larger community can help with? Because I mean, I think we can all see the priority, the benefits of this. You're trying to make it as open to all walks of life and incomes to be able to participate. I was humbled by how many people came in from Manitoba and Saskatchewan and the north for the heart camp. That was absolutely fantastic. But are there ways that the community as a whole can, just help in advocating and making sure that people understand that these are critical priority programs, for not just being kids, but kids learning to live with and thrive alongside the journey they have to walk.
Yes, I definitely want to say that our fundraising efforts are huge for this. As I had mentioned, we cover all the costs for kidney camp. And so we want to offer the opportunity to as many children as we can. But unfortunately, the financial aspect can be a limiting factor. So we don't ever want to turn individuals away or kids away. This is why Flavia had mentioned that we're looking at sending them to camp, a regular camp like Easter Seals, but then also doing it in-house. So by individuals sharing the information that we do have a kidney camp for kids, and supporting it, whether it's sharing the information that it's happening, letting individuals know that it's something that they can donate to or support, or just helping us spread that message, that is very powerful. Because as I had mentioned, this is something that they're going to have to deal with for life. And so we want kids to enjoy camp while they can. It was actually very sad in COVID. We couldn't host camp just because of the restrictions, and some of the kids unfortunately aged out, and we lost that connection temporarily with them. But we want to take advantage of letting them go to camp and have the opportunity to engage in that peer support. And whether it's the regular camp activities or connecting with peers here in the city and building connections with the staff and the community here, any type of advocacy or fundraising definitely helps to go towards that.
I just wanted to add, I'm sorry, Julie, we think the same, right? Like, if we don't have the money, we can't send and we can't pay. Our camp has a lot of medical needs, and we have to hire a lot of trained professionals to go with the kids, or else the camp can't happen. It does get expensive. One of the things we started doing is and you saw them create, and you even mentioned that the kids created birdhouses for you, Julie. I don't know if you auction them off, but that's something that we think of doing when they created these kidney bowls. And so people can, you buy the bowl, and as you're doing that, you help to send a child to camp. We just helps to raise awareness, and the donor gets something from it. The kids having a fun activity, and then their way of also giving back. So it's pretty powerful. There's the birdhouses, and we had another one with the bowl picture, but it's cool, because I always say this: if we don't have programming, then why are we asking for money or raising? But if you don't have the money, then how do you complete and do programs and services? So again, thank you to everyone.
Yeah, I got to see the birdhouses firsthand, and I know they're not being sold because we did a whole nature walk as a memorial for these people, these kids donors. And one of my little buddies couldn't be there for the final day, and I got to find a spot for his birdhouse and send a picture back to his mom, which was pretty awesome. But yeah, no, but fundraisers of any kind, absolutely. If we can be of any help and help to promote and cross promote, I think that'd be great. Julia,
We do have a
I know you
fundraiser
raise
coming up.
fundraising at the camp.
We're doing a silent auction pub night on November 23rd, but I'll send you the details.
Awesome.
I wonder
Good night.
too
That's great.
if working with some of the community places. I know when I was in diabetes, we ran a diabetes camp and we did it with the Canadian Diabetes Association, which helped, fund in terms of supplies and people and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if there's other organizations that do something similar.
A couple of pieces that had come up when we were in dire need for camp money this year was charity golf tournaments. I've recently come into golf and am blown away that $300,000 is raised for homeless pets at these opulent golf courses. And while I'm all an advocate for pets, I'm thinking that we've got 50 kids that had heart conditions that were on the brink of death, that 300 grand would send them to camp for 10 years, right? So when I got into golf and saw these charity tournaments, I reached out to Julie, and Julie, this sparks it to me to send you the few courses that I have in mind to reach out to. So I think that is a huge opportunity because there's a golf course in every community that a package can be sent to. The second part of that is that as scientists and as doctors, marketing might not be the forte there. So to have, some marketing collateral created either by maybe some post-secondary students is an opportunity for both education and awareness, and to get that work done, kind of ad hoc, perhaps for free from the U of A, working on some marketing pieces would be an opportunity as well. And then third to that, my company has come up with something called Community Day, where we go out in the community and we are helping, whether it be the women's shelter or things like this, but approaching large companies in a different way rather than asking for money, something where they can come back and post on their Instagram to have that feel good moment, to come up with a package to say Community Day for the Kidney Foundation or the Alberta Heart Transplant, where you guys are doing something, the company is doing something to raise money to send to kids for camp, because that's kind of a big feel good moment for them. So that's all easier said than done. But those are just some kind of things that had come up in terms of raising big money, because Julie's out there pushing cookies. Like, that is a labor of love, right? Like, we need corporate money, right? And so it would be nice for the U of A or something to come together in these ways to create marketing materials to send to organizations. So you can have a community day. It's an entire package. The emails are all created, just send it out to your team, and this is the money we're going to raise, that kind of thing, whether they're and they can come up with some ideas. But anyway, so that had just come up in the past little bit for us as ideas.
That's fantastic. You mentioned golf tournaments. That reminds me, we have a monthly meeting with a lot of our peer organizations. Some of you are here today. We call it our ADI Advocacy Committee, but Dr. Urschel was talking about the camp about 6 months ago, and just saying that there was fundraising needs, and no one thought anything of it. And 2 months later, Toby Boulay from the Green Shirt Day team said, "Oh, we have some money for you because I made it a priority for our golf tournament down in Southern Alberta." Completely out of the blue, wasn't scripted or anything like that. So A, golf, who knew, and B, it's important that the stories get out. You need to find those venues to tell that story so that you can find that corporate sponsor or that one family that can help with the larger needs. That's a great idea, Crystal. Lots of Fantastic ideas. I know we are closing in on the hour. Are there any other questions or comments from the group? It's been absolutely fantastic hearing the stories, Tashina and Crystal in particular, hearing what it's meant for your kids and you as parents, and what you've gained from that. I know what I gained just as a humble volunteer. I definitely want to be part of them going forward, and not just to get more cool t-shirts. But any other hands up? Otherwise, I will just let everybody know next week is actually about kids again, adolescents. We have a seminar next Wednesday with Dr. Andrew Mackey, and he'll be speaking about transplant teens in transition, challenges and opportunities. And so I just put the link for that down into the chat of the Zoom. And please, if you have any leads or opportunities that you can share with Davey and Julie and any of the organizers, if you want to learn from them and create a liver camp or a lung camp, that's fantastic too. I'm sure we could all learn and share together. But thank you so much to everybody. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. And thank you so much to our amazing speakers.